Thank you. I have 45 minutes to explain you something about what we're doing. 2 years ago, I read an article. This is why millennials all are turning vegan. And I turned vegetarian about more than 25 years ago, and vegan about 12 years ago. So 2 years ago, I was a bit flabbergasted. Is it really happening? Is it really going to happen? Are we going to see this in our lifetime? So I was very wondered, where did these figures come from? And it was about a study was conducted by the Vegan Society of the UK, and there was mentioning that especially young people are turning vegan, or calling themselves vegan, and the main driver there was the use of Instagram. There's been a lot of talks in this conference about the use of Facebook and Instagram and all those platforms. It seems that Instagram especially has a special driver force to spread our message. So I was very curious about why is this happening. So having a background in ICT or in IT and special education, I was very wondered how does it help those data which are published to change people's minds, hearts, and hopefully their behavior. So the idea is maybe we can start collecting more data, and we got all those open platforms. I'm not going to talk about platforms or about technology today. I think there are a few people with an IT background. Are there IT people in the crowd? Wow. That's great. So if you have any technical questions or remarks and so on, we can talk about it later. Talk about what we are doing, how what we can show at the moment. The word which is mostly used in any presentation on those conferences is impact. We all want to create impact. And the idea is impact should change behavior of people. The impact we want to address or to have in the future is an impact on the spending of people on products. Every European spends about 800 euros a year on animal-based products. Half of the expenditure on food goes to animal-based products. And the idea is quite simple. We want to have less orange on that map, and more blue on that map. So that's what we want to help with. Why food? If we do some research on all the things which are written and talked about on the internet, especially in the vegan community, there's a lot of talk about activism and so on, but we mainly like things about food. What do we eat? What do we like? How do we prepare our food? All those things. So food is a driving factor, and food, we want to change the behavior of what people put on their plates. And one of the questions, especially the food industry facing at the moment is, will people eat it? You all know the stories about those American startups, clean meat and replacement, those special products coming to the market, green protein alliances and so on. But the main question is, will people eat it? And it's something the food industry is struggling with very much at the moment. It's a very tough question to answer. There was a report written 2 years ago from the Australian red meat industry. It's a worthwhile reading, so you should read it. And the main threats they see for their industry is the use of social media, the use of the internet, the rise and use of internet and all those new platforms coming up, like Instagram and other platforms. Why is that? We know that people who want to change in their lives, especially on their plates, they don't go to traditional media. They look for the information online. You know that if you take a look at all those media, social media influencers and so on, who are vegan, there are a lot of them. We count about 3,000 of them, which have a good follower base. There are many others. And if we see on the other hand, like say, carnist influencers, you won't find them on the internet, or very few of them. So let's say that the internet is ours, for the moment. So, the idea is, when we talk about big data, it's without becoming too technical, there's big data, data analysis, machine learning, all those terms. Let's say that there's the power to collect a lot of data and to let machines do the learning, and machines make help us to make decisions based on the data we collected. Most of the research what has been done, especially in human sciences, psychology, and sociology, they use very little groups do research based on 20 people or 30 people. We follow them for a few years. The power of using platforms, data platforms, that we can collect data of a lot of people over a long period of time. Of course, the idea is we need those thick data, real insights, and translate them to the other platforms. So that's a hard thing to do. How do we do it? We collect data, especially Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Maps, well, about 30 sources we use, Yelp, all those. We combine them and we try to learn out of it. So you need some data knowledge about it and so on. The numbers actually aren't that relevant. It's about what is the quality of the data and so on. And that's the first remark I want to make, especially to the people who give those talks about using social media and so on. The numbers really don't matter. The clicks and the views are very exciting to look. It's a bit addictive when you post something and you see people liking and viewing and so on. But the idea is, how does it change behavior of people? At this moment, we don't have the right tools to measure this. So that is actually what we're trying to build. And so the first thing we had, we needed a measurement tool. How vegan is someone? Can you be 90% vegan? And I know there are a lot of discussion about it. But one way or the other, everybody is in some kind of continuum, going from vegan and the opposite of vegan. We all read a book about Melanie Joy, we know the term carnist. So that's about spectrum. Everybody is somewhere in the spectrum. First thing we developed a tool is to measure, based on online behavior, the clicks and the likes and things that people are writing and visiting online, to measure the attitude of people and put them in the spectrum. This potentially has the power to actually measure what actions mean. Yeah? Does it have effect? I will come to that later. Our purpose, and everybody in the audience has this purpose. We want people to go, in this case, from the left to the right. Well, it's maybe in this case, we want people to shift to the right. As fast and as many as possible. That is impact, right? That is what we want to achieve. And there's a lot of discussion going on in what is the right strategy. Should we go to the baby steps approach? 1 day less, and then maybe a week, and then so on and so on. Or is it that approach? And that's, I think, what we can actually agree on is that we at least want to have people go from the left to to the right. And all our actions should be addressing this. It means that if we do an action, we sit in, or we go on the street, or paste something on Facebook, or go live on Facebook or YouTube and so on. Actually, what we want to achieve in the future is actually address the right audience in the hope that they will change their behavior in the future. We can't measure behavior online. We can't measure what people put on their plates online. But what we can measure is how people feel about team veganism. This is, remember the V range, going from carnage to vegan. On many actions we can make some kind of what we call a V range split. That is, in the audience which is engaged in an action, where is the people's mind or attitude? This is the V range split of Dagen zonder vlees, Days Without Meat, which was a Flemish action, ran for a few years, asking people for 30 days not to eat meat. We have them in every country, I think, some kind of, those kind of. What we see there is that about 40% of the people are addressed in, as we call it, reductionists. 1 day less, or maybe a few weeks, and give it a try. About 60% of the people we are addressing and are engaging in this kind of action is actually already convinced. And it's great. And we all do that. If Meatless Mondays come up, or all those actions we come up, even if we are vegan, we assign to those actions. That's what we do. What we see there is that we like that. If an organization, we see all these people assigning to those actions, it's a great feeling. Problem is that a lot of people are already convinced. So we should have a better measurement tool, or a better tool to actually address the right people. Maybe the V-range in the future can do this something. Now, going back to the food companies who are actually making the food for people and bringing it to the market via the retail, what they've been doing is they know the system of our internal account. What makes people buy products? Yeah? Actually, we want to address them and say, hey, you should change your behavior. Your behavior means you should eat other products. You should buy other products and consume other products. And what the food industry knows very well is our internal account. What is our internal account? As a system that helps us make good decisions. And a system that tries to measure our internal drivers. The system said, I think this is important for me as a person, that's why I choose this product. That's what marketeers understand very well. And that is what the food industry uses, and I think we should know more about it and learn more about it as a movement. How does it work? Why do people choose for one product, and why do they choose from another? Why do people tell they are convinced they care about animals, and if they stand in the retail or they stand in the shop, they choose the other product? Why do people do that? This is what the food industry used until 5-6 years ago as the baseline in all their product development. If we make new products, they should be tasty. People should like that. It should be have the right price, can differ in price, but the right price for the right audience, and convenience. What means convenience is it should be easy to use, it should be available any place, anywhere. That is what the big food companies are very good at. If you take a look at what Unilever is doing, what Kraft is doing, what Nestle is doing, all those major companies, they are champions at this. They know very well how to put a product in a retail at the right place, in the right price. So that is why they do it. And what I see now is there is a growing number of people, a growing number of consumers, they say, well, it's not only about price and taste and convenience. There are other things which are important for us too. And this is something is sinking in, and which a lot of companies are looking for answers at this moment is, we don't, wellness should have two aspects. A product should not only taste well, and should not only be convenient and have a good price, but should also have some kind of experience, not only a box and put it open and some kind of experience. Should be a safe product, especially for the developing countries, it's still a problem. And it should be a healthy product. Yeah. Health is, if you want to convince people about food, health is the argument. Everything is healthy, right? Yeah, it's used by any product company. Health is and of course the social impact. Social impacts can be, of course, animal issues, environmental issues, social justice issues, and so on. So there's a lot of people who are asking for other products. And the thing especially the animal rights movement has achieved last years is the growing need for transparency in the sector. What every customer wants at the moment is to have a product, and it should be the same product as it is advertised on the billboards. Okay? People know that those pizzas aren't baked in Italy by two grandmas and so on in the kitchen. People know it comes from a factory, right? We know pigs, most pigs, don't live outside in green spaces and so on. And I think especially for the animal rights movement, its achievement, its historical achievement is to put on transparency. And it's still a very, very hard driver for all the rest of the drivers we see. So, not everyone has the same drivers. Not everyone has the same values. When buying a product, someone can think that price and convenience are important, and other people can think that social impact is important. So, it's a different audience. It's a different target group. What we would like as an animal rights movement is that the social impact, choosing products based on the value of a social impact should grow. We want to stretch this. That's where we put our emphasis on. I think there, that putting on the emphasis there, we have to make sure that the internal account people are working with, everyone has at his disposal. We have to understand this very well. Now, as an example, this woman Tanya, I call her Tanya, goes to the shop and she compares two products. Imagine that Tanya thinks that taste and social impact are as equally important in choosing a product. Okay. She has a product she bought in the past and she knows it. Let's say a yogurt from, I don't know, Danone. Yeah? Okay. And she actually says that I want a product that has less maybe better social impact, and I want maybe a product that has a better other taste, less good taste. So if we make the calculation, product A gives a score of 12, and product B gives a score of 12 too. Thinking that taste and social impact are equally important, Tanya has a clear choice, choose A or B, and she probably would choose product B, right? Because it's more imbalanced. Unfortunately, she won't. chances that she will take product B are very low. Why is that? First of all, the theory behind this is called opportunity cost. Probably people with an economic background know this principle. Opportunity cost is the cost about the things you don't get if you make a choice. If you have to choose between both, you get something you don't. If you have to take the car or train is better for environmental impact and so on, but you don't get the car and so on. So choosing a product, always there's this internal accountant, choose A or B. By choosing product B, she will actually lose on taste, 2 points, but she wins on social impact, 2 points. Gives the same numbers. Problem is, and that's our internal accountant is very bad at counting actually, because if we have as a human, if we have the feeling that we lose something, if there is a cost at something, actually we double it. So if we take a look at the future, as a person, we always have the feeling that the loss we will have by choosing another product is double than it is in reality. Which means that even if products have the same number, if we ask her, she will choose product B. The loss is too big. And that is something what I think within the animal rights movement we have to address in the future. If we want to make people to have another choice, they will gain with it, but they will also lose with it. We have a great influx of people who become vegan. Yeah? Every year we see a lot of people going vegan, that's what we see online and so on. In general, the number of vegans is rising, but it is rising that fast. Why is that? Because a lot of people leave being vegan, stop being vegan. We don't have good measurements about it. There's a lot of discussion about it. If the figures are out, but a lot of people step out. And that is about the cost people put into it, the cost of making a choice. So becoming vegan, making that lifestyle change should be very normal, should be normalized and so on, but we have to measure or take into account the cost people put into it. Is it easy going vegan? Yes. Is it easy staying vegan? Family, friends, going to school, sending your kids to school, go to work, and so on. It comes with a cost. Yeah? So, consumer choices, people buying products is actually, or choices are benefits minus cost. And the benefits are clear. It's better for the animals, it's better, but there's also cost in every choice we make. If you want to learn more about it, use this book. I don't recommend too many books about this. It's the book Misbehaving of Professor Taylor. He is also the man who coined the term nudging. Well, people have heard about it probably. How can we influence people and so on. It's about the rise of economy and behavioral economics. So how can we influence people to make other choices? Now, what we see there is if we take see the different value and the different drivers within the different groups, that vegans tend to have more, the drivers are very harsh on animals, on environment, less health than vegetarians seem to have, and taste, price, and convenience seem to be less important for them than other groups. Somebody told me, well, vegans, they eat everything. Is it true? I don't think so. It should be vegan, of course, but the price seems to matter, but the taste doesn't seem to matter too much for many vegans. And that's okay, but it's a very hard problem if we want to convince people with an omnivorous lifestyle to make the same choice. Because if taste is very important for you, and we want to change people, their behavior, the products we come into the market should be equally good as the things they are replacing. Now, vegans come in many sizes and shapes and colors and so on. Who of those people is vegan? They all are, of course. But the thing is, what we want to address is the right people for our message. Who is perceptive, will receive our message best, and who is most likely to put the message into an action. What we do at the moment far too much is count clicks, numbers, the number of times we come in the media and so on, which is quite important, of course. But what does it mean in the behavior of people? We know that people are willing to change their lifestyle or adapt their lifestyle if they share most values with each other. People who are nearest to you are most likely to adapt their behavior. And what we do is put the emphasis on the animals. That is what animal rights activists do, put the emphasis on the animals. And we talk about communities and so on. But communities are larger and bigger than only the animals part. So we need something to actually measure what a lifestyle of people is. Going vegan has a very big impact on the lifestyle of people. The presentation of Melanie Joy, next presentation I think, is about communication between vegans and non-vegans. Means that people have a different lifestyle, different view, and many other things. So it has a very big impact on lifestyle. If we share lifestyle or our different parts of our lifestyle with other people, those people are more willing to share their behavior. So one way or the other, we have to measure that lifestyle. And also marketeers have very great tools to do that. For those who want to Google on it, Google on activities, interests, and opinions. It's a theory, it's about 30 years old, and it gives us the possibility actually to measure or to visualize lifestyles of people. What do people do? What do people like? What are they interested in? And what do they think about social issues or other issues, politics and so on? So what marketeers would call it psychographs. You can Google on it, you can make psychographs of people. So, and that's what we use. If you see a commercial about a young woman with 2 kids going to the retail store and buying X and A product, that's based on this theory, based on these models, on the psychographs, activities, interests, and opinions. Now, collecting a lot of data gives us the possibility actually to visualize those things. It won't be readable because it's quite complex. But what we see is, if we measure things, that one group has different, in this case, activities than another group. We can measure it by what people are telling online. I think, and I would urge you within your organization to start measuring those things. To talk about this and do interviews about the people we are addressing, the people we are reaching out to. What people are they? Not only about the animal issue, but are they students? Are they workers? What do they do in their spare times? Do they like soccer? We have kids and go out swimming. That is the things that is very important to collect to. If you share most of those things, people are most likely to share or to alter their behavior on another part. So psychographs are quite important. We can use those complex technologies to do it, and it gives us some strange insights sometimes. Said about left and right. This is actually, if we put, this is a Belgian situation, people within different categories, what politicians of which party are most followed. You see on the right-hand side vegans, and of course they are following green politicians. But you'll see on the other hand side that the communists are also more aiming to social democrats and so on. But what we see is that on the right hand side, the brown dot is actually a politician of a Flemish conservative right-wing nationalist party. It's very popular within this. We have to learn more about our audiences. And we have to look further than what we think. You know. You're not your audience. You can do this yourself. If you don't have the complex tools in hand and so on, some of this you can do it yourself. Most of you in an organization have a website. You all have Google Analytics. If you don't have it, install it. Get somebody on board with some data or some knowledge about how to do it. If you go to Google Analytics, you don't only see the clicks and the views, which are nice to see, and of course, if it's going up, but you also can do some analysis on the demographics. Are they man or woman, what age are they, and so on, where they come from. That's the demographic part, but also the interest data, and that's the activities, interests, and opinions. You can learn about a lot about it. There's on the analytics help of Google, you can read about it, how to use it, and so on. Now, when it comes to activism, also pointing out that what we do a lot is we want to address as many people as possible. Yeah, that's what we do. We go into, if we put on a stall, if we install a booth, we will do it in the streets with the most shops, where most people come by, so we have the most views and more people. That is what we do. The thing is, quantity doesn't matter that much. It's quality that matters. Who do we address? Of those 4 people coming by, who would you address? Who would you talk to? So you have to know who is very perceptive for the message, not only the message, but only the form of the message we are using. And make a small comparison between 2 kind of forms of messages. And this preliminary data, so I don't have too many conclusions on it, but I think most action we can actually divide in 2 types of actions. One of these is what I call the more action-based, the more, let's say, the classic animal rights approach, using graphical data or graphical images and so on. And the other type of actions we see is more the lifestyle actions. Why wouldn't you try 1 day a week to eat less meat? There are many other types, and there are more than those 2. But what we see is that the first one, using a lot of graphical images and a more competitive style, you see that it's more engaging for 2 kind of groups. Actually, the groups on the one hand, people who are vegan, very competitive about it, and they share and they like it and tell it to the world. And we see other people engaging in 2, and it's on the other hand of the perspective of the continuum. What amazes me most there is that when actions done which would have very graphical content, which are very competitive, is that the group on the left hand very often for the first time shows up in our data. Most people are very neutral about this. A lot of people are very neutral about it. Because what I think is that on the left hand, we are pushing people, a kind of people, to the other direction. We want to attract them to one direction, but we are pushing with some kind of action people to the other direction. So if you want to address people, we really should know who we are addressing to. We don't want to push people away, and it shows up in the data. Other types of actions, lifestyle and so on, it engages people on another way. all the types of people and so on. Another thing is location matters. If you put on a stall or a booth, location matters. Where do you want to put your booth or your stall? Where you can address people, have most chances to listen to you and maybe adapt their lifestyle. Yeah? You can put it in front of the butcher, of course. I think chances are low to be effective. So where do we put this out? We know we can measure that some cities are, it is happening more than in other cities. In Germany, for instance, Berlin and Hamburg and Munich seem to be cities where there's a lot of things going on. People talk about it, people are engaged and so on, other people less. You could make up kind of geographic maps for the area you're active in yourself. You can get information out of Yelp or Happy Cow or all those sources and pinpoint them. This is what we have as an automated system. That is the city of Munich. We see that there is a lot of omnivore and carnivore places, restaurants, of course. There are some vegan places and some vegetarian places also. But you see, it's still, well, there's still some work to be done. On the other hand, what we developed is a system what we call conversation tiles. What are conversation tiles? Where do people talk about veganism, activism, animal rights, and so on? And based on what we do on our cell phone, there are some data available that we can see that. Where do people talk about this issue? If we can so the more green, the more you will likely find people who are perceptive to this message. Less green, more red, there aren't. So location matters. You can do this yourself. Talk to people, where do they go to school, what sports clubs are they going to, and so on and so on. So if you don't have the data on hand, start collecting your own data. Excel is a great tool. I never expected to say that Excel is a great tool, but you can do a lot of it. So, my taking home message about this topic is, when we think about strategy, about activism and effective activism, every action has a cost. If we want people to change their behavior, it comes with a cost. What we should do is make the benefits as high as possible and the cost as low as possible. The cost is especially on social issues. So you should work on good communities, on all those people who are stepping out of being vegan or vegetarian, to get them back in our community, to enhance them and to give them thumbs up and so on. Be positive about it, because we are losing too many people about experience too high of cost in their lifestyle. Second of all, you are not your audience. If you want to bring a message, who are you bringing it to? What are you saying? What aren't you saying? What are you showing? What aren't you showing? Yeah? It's very important to make this group bigger. Yeah? We want our club to be bigger. We want to be more popular, of course. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is location, location, location. Thank you.